What's happening, everyone? Part of my Presence YouTube channel. I want to discuss something. This was a video that I wanted to drop about 4 days ago, but I held off because I wanted to make sure that I chose my words correctly. I wanted to make sure that I gave the proper and responsible message out there, but I also wanted to wait until I had all the information possible. And I'm so glad that I waited, because since those 4 days have passed, now right now it's Sunday evening, August 22nd. So since those 4 days have passed, so much more details have come out about this event, about this story, that are scandalous, that are salacious, that are ridiculous, that are downright pathetic. And this has nothing other than to do with the two guys that call themselves Fresh and Fit, or Myron Gaines and Fresh CAO. There's also a government name out there for Fresh. I'm not going to, or sorry, not Fresh, but for Myron Gaines. I won't put it out there. I won't dox him. And then Walter Weeks, I guess that guy puts out his name, so people know him by that name. But this is about their podcast. It's about their character. And I just want to do an outline about the story. And I also want to give a detailed description about their rise and their fall in the YouTube space. Now, just to give a brief description of who these guys are, they reside in Miami, and they hold a podcast there where they discuss many things. Usually it's about men and women dynamics in these modern times with social media being such an influence. And they try to help men, gain confidence, learn how to talk to women, learn how to, score with women, learn how to be more assertive. They talk about the stats in regards to online dating or dating in general, and how women are all about clout and all about being taken care of and looking for a quote-unquote high-value man who makes six figures, and how that pretty much is describing no man or very limited amount of men, and as a result, women are not able to find what they want, and the men who don't fall into that category of high-value men don't have a shot at these women. So that's pretty much the sector that they fall into. It's really called, the red pill sector, if you want to give it a blanket statement. But that is pretty much the content that they provide. So if this sounds familiar to you, that's because it is. Other people fall into that sector as well too. Probably the most famous person based on his meteoric rise would be no other than Kevin Samuels. You have people like O'Shea Duke Jackson. You have people like Donovan Sharp, Rollo Tomasi. You have Coach Adams. You have Alpha Male Strategies. You have a whole bunch of people that are in that sector who are pretty much, feeding off each other's ideas. Sometimes they steal off each other. Sometimes they have a little bit of beefs and arguments. But for the most part, they all have the same messaging, which is women are ruining the dating scene. Women don't know what they want. And as a result of that, and as a result of women being able to get instant gratification off social media and OnlyFans, so on and so forth, men have a hard time trying to relate to women. That's really the nutshell of what it is. Now, what makes Fresh and Fit a little bit more different than the others is, one, their age. They appear to be much younger than all the other people that I mentioned, right? They're contemporaries, right? But not only that, they also reside in Miami. And Miami is like the East Coast Hollywood in LA, because many people go there for the purpose of being seen, for the purpose of getting recognized, getting clout, building an audience, trying to quote-unquote make it, trying to hobnob with rappers and socialites. So there's a superficial scene that you can find in Miami. The weather's nice, the beaches are nice, the drinks are good. There's everything that you'd want if you're young, right, under age 30. Anything that you want, you can find it there. So it attracts a lot of these like-minded people, men and women. But what makes Fresh and Fit's podcast a little bit different is the fact that they're able to collaborate probably better than anyone else on YouTube with other people in that space. They've pretty much built a niche by being able to collab with other YouTube content creators. They'll have them on the show to discuss issues regarding men and women and dating and so on and so forth. And it seems like every other day they're dropping a video where they have a new guest appearance. Whether it's the ones I mentioned, like Kevin Samuels, and other people in the YouTube sector. And a lot of times these people are pretty much people who have a large YouTube following or have a large social media following. And I guess because of where they're located in Miami, they're able to collab with these people pretty easily. And what's even a better option that they throw in there as bait is that when they have these discussions, it's in a condo setting, their studio, and they invite women. And not just any type of women, but the type of women that all of the millennials, all of the people who subscribe to the channels, all the people who men believe that they're talking about, as far as the woman who clout chases, the woman who won't date you unless you have more than 10,000 subscribers, the IG models, the OnlyFans models. Those are the people that they invite onto their show. So you have about 6 girls there. They invite that one guest, usually it's a male, and they have a open forum discussion and a lot of antics, a lot of segues, and a lot of different conversations and arguments and debates are had. And it's pretty much something that's caught on. A lot of people enjoy the discussions. A lot of people enjoy the antics. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because a lot of the antics come with a lot of immature behavior. They have quote-unquote characters that they play into. They have the character of Frank Castle, which is pretty much when they feel that a guest is not behaving appropriately, or the guest is not playing along, or not being a good sport. They create this character, which Myron Gaines plays, where he turns into a pretty much belligerent asshole and he kicks the women out. He doesn't do it in an assertive way that's, polite and assertive and, exposes or provides the least amount of energy. He does it in a way where he's brooding over these women. He's being belligerent. Get the fuck out is what he'll say. He'll tower over them and he'll point that they have to get the fuck out. He does it in the most disrespectful manner possible, and it's done that way for showmanship, so that the people who are watching get riled up, so that the people who are watching can feel like they can live vicariously through him, because they always wanted to have that power over women to say, get the fuck out, you're going to do what I tell you to do. Unless you don't want to do what I tell you to do, then you have to leave. You're going to get the hell out of here. You can't tell me what to do in my place. That type of angry, forcing or forceful type of tone on women, and people like it. Me personally, I found it a little bit too over the top. I found it to be distasteful. I found it to be unnecessary, and it came to a point where some of the women weren't having it, and there was a fight that ensued where Myron was hit. And when I watched that particular video, a couple things I noticed, okay? First thing I noticed, the fact that Myron Gaines and Fresh CEO had all the cameras on. They were giggling and they were amused by all of this. They were happy to have these women act as belligerent as possible, because they realized that it's going to lead to viral moments. They realized it's going to lead to a lot of views, a lot of subs, a lot of traction, a lot of content for their Patreon page, and they loved it. So even though it seemed like it was more of a respect thing and a principle thing for kicking them out, really it's just a tactic to create more chaos that they could film, that they could put out there, that they could promote and market. And this is where I had trouble with them once I saw that. So once I started to see that their antics is really all about just creating havoc so they could film it for the subscribers to boost up their viewership, then I started to realize, okay, something's a little bit off with these guys. I have to, watch them in a critical or with a critical eye. And then I noticed something else about FreshandFit, specifically Fresh CEO. Fresh CEO is the black guy. He's from Barbados, and Myron, I don't even think he's black. Myron is apparently from Sudan, and he's Muslim. Okay, so that's who they are. That's their background. But the other chink in the armor that I noticed is that Fresh CEO, he has a stuttering problem, and sometimes I stutter as well too. I understand that. I don't look at that as quote unquote a weakness, but when it affects your ability to communicate with others, especially with women, then I have to question whether or not you are who you say you are. Because when they have their open forum settings where there's a bunch of girls and other guests, he cannot get out. He cannot present a point. He cannot get out any points of views. He cannot get out a sentence. And sometimes, and all he does is just back up what Myron says. He's like a Myron cheerleader. And then sometimes he'll just be the guy who reads the comments off of the board. But even that he struggles with. So when I see a guy like Myron, a guy like Fresh on the show, the first thing I ask is, what does he do here? To put him on camera, to stutter, to fuck up different lines that he has to say, to not be able to express himself properly, for women to more than likely call him out because they notice that he's the weakest link, to have other men on the show call him out because he is viewed as the weakest link. Why is he there? Is he the guy that finances everything? Is he the guy who has all the riches? It came to that where I'm starting to question what his value is, because the way how he speaks in general, whether it's to the women or to the other men, you could tell that he's not, quote-unquote, a high-value man or an assertive man or an alpha man or just someone with a strong personality that matches what he claims to be. And then I came across other YouTube videos that is exposing Fresh as someone who would rent out Lamborghinis to pick up women. I saw another video where they dissected one of his stories that he put out there about how it's easy to get threesomes, and it was all based on a story where he randomly ran into an NBA player that he won't name, and that NBA player asked him where are the best spots to hang out. And then in the little conversation that they had, the NBA player revealed to Fresh CEO that, hey, do you know that girl? I had sex with her. You had sex with her. We're Eskimo brothers. Hey, look at that. You come to my house and you can hang out where there's a plethora of women, and you could choose any 3 women that you like, and you could be with them all at once without you having to even introduce yourself to them. That was the story. And he gives you that again. This is a video. It's a true video. You can look it. You can find it out. You can look it out there. It's there. But in this video, he's saying that it was so easy for him to have a threesome that he was appalled by it. He didn't know what to do. He decided to have sex with the 3 women individually. Number one, if it's 3 girls and you, then that's a foursome. It's not a threesome, right? A threesome is 2 girls, preferably, and 1 guy, yourself. As opposed to what Sweetie wants, which is 2 guys in her. But I digress. But the point I'm making is that a lot of the stuff that he says in his own videos that he does, it smells like BS. I don't know how one could buy it. And a lot of times their antics and the characters that they put on, they have this chef hat that they put on, and they do other characters as well too. It's clear to me that these guys behave like high school kids.
My only real request is that you don't embarrass me and fuck other guys, okay? But they have the fucking gall to sit here and say, yeah, insecure. No, you dumb bitch. I'm not fucking insecure. I'm very secure in my goddamn confidence. I don't want to fucking wife up no hoe.
And they do high school antics, and they talk to girls who are high school minded.
Small dick energy. You're insecure. Bitch.
Right, so that's what I got from this show. And it's all on the backdrop of Miami, of the rise of Kevin Samuels, and women shaming and talking to women directly or in a quote-unquote disrespectful manner or in a manner that shows lack of empathy. So these guys have pretty much rode the coattails of Kevin Samuels into the position that they are in now. So these are the things that I started to see, and I always thought to myself, these guys don't appear to be who they say they are. And these guys run into problems, or they're going to run into problems, if they keep trying to kick women out of the show just for the sake of recording it and putting it out there. But there's one incident that made me say, nah, I can't fuck with these guys. And I'm going to explain what it was. There was a video where Fresh and Fit sat down with porn stars and OnlyFans models. And the caption was a weird caption about, oh, this is what OnlyFans models do. I forget what the caption of the video was. But in that video, it's Myron and Fresh, and they're talking to OnlyFans models. Now, mind you, these are the same guys who shit on OnlyFans models and IG models. They degrade them. They talk about how they have no sense of reality. They have no accountability. They don't value men's time, and therefore we should not value your time. They're nothing but airhead bimbos. And they're not good for you men. Stay away from them. They're going to get you in trouble. This is their message to their subscribers, their fans, their followers, their Patreon members. But in this video, I've never seen Myron so happy. He's gleefully talking to these IG models, or sorry, OnlyFans workers, sex workers. He's chatting it up with them. He's being very jovial, I would say, compared to the other times where he's kicking women out. And I thought to myself, why is he being so nice to these quote-unquote OnlyFans sex workers? It made no sense to me. But as I kept watching the video, I realized why.
OnlyFans?
All right, well, guys, you're gonna have to get on Patreon to see the rest, man. Because
look, they're signing up right now, guys. This is gonna be crazy, guys. I'm telling you right now. And then they're all gonna be plugged in OnlyFans. Their OnlyFans on.
Yes,
Patreon
guys.
as well.
All the ladies' OnlyFans are below in the description box on their Instagrams or their link trees. So that you guys can
but on
check them out
Patreon,
as well.
it'll be there for you to click.
Yeah. So this content is going to be on ours. You can get on Kiki's. You can get on any of the lovely ladies on the panel.
Yeah.
So with that said, guys, we'll close this one out, and you guys we'll catch you guys on Patreon, man.
See you soon.
We're gonna post this, guys. We're gonna post it.
See you
We're gonna post
soon,
it there.
daddies.
All right.
Yeah.
This is gonna be.
These women were on their Patreon channel or site selling sex or selling footage and giving access to their goodies, of whatever you want to call them, so that their Patreon members could buy a Patreon membership and view these models. So in other words, they're pimping out these OnlyFans models to their subscribers, to their followers, to their Patreon members. The same women that they shit on in their podcasts and in their debates and open forums, telling you that you should stay away from these women, are the same women they sell back to you. To me, that's complete conflict of interest. To me, that was something that made no sense whatsoever. And to me, that was a slap in the face. Because then, do you really think I'm that stupid? Why would I spend money on these OnlyFans chicks that you shit on, that you tell men they shouldn't be around them, they shouldn't spend money on them, they shouldn't spend money for sex, right? They had a whole debate with Albert and Preach about not paying for sex. So why are you now selling sex on your Patreon site to your members? I lost all respect for them. And that was about a week ago. And based on that, I was about to put out my video. And then that's when the first scandal broke. A woman by the name of Nina Unrated put out a IG Live that was recorded and put on YouTube. And in the IG Live, she spoke about Fresh and Fit, mainly Myron Gaines, and she exposed them on their practices, their business practices behind the scenes. She mentioned how the two men were blackmailing her and coercing her to put out sex content or OnlyFans content for their Patreon members. They could sell it to their Patreon members, and how they made threats that they would provide this information in regards to their case that she was having because she was trying to get custody of her son. And she was saying how a lot of the shit that they do is not above the table, above ground. It's very shady, shisty shit that's happening under the table. And she exposed a lot of it. So that was the first scandal. Then another scandal broke. So then Anna Quinn Fitness put out some text messages that revealed Myron Gaines business practices in regards to their podcast. And apparently there was text messages where he was trying to get her on the show, and she didn't know she should do it. She's in LA, he's in Miami, so she didn't really know the dynamics. She didn't know if she would be a good fit for the show, and he was pretty much being very belligerent and very impatient. And he pretty much said in the text messages, hey, look, I know you slept with other men who are not as valuable and as great and as sexy and as fine as me. So why do I have to put up with this BS? And I'm paraphrasing here, of course, right? But he's pretty much saying, look, if you want to collab with me, we gotta fuck. We gotta have sex. And if you don't want to have sex, that's fine. No big deal. But you're not going to be on my show. And it was funny because these are the guys who are mentoring men, teaching men how to be the best version of themselves, teaching men how to communicate effectively and to be assertive with women. And here he is, pretty much arguing with the woman, almost pleading with the woman to say, hey, you had sex with other men I know, so you need to have sex with me now. And if you don't want to have sex with me, you can't be on my show. Take it or leave it. And I don't care what anyone says to defend you. I don't care what anyone says to discredit me. That is my stance, and I'm going to stick with it because I'm successful.
Small dick energy! Small dick energy! You're insecure! You're insecure! You're insecure! No, 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 no! Bitch!
That is not alpha energy. That is not manly energy. That is not any type of grown man energy. That is a bitch. That is a simp. That is someone who is willing to lead with their business and leverage their business to get pum pum. That is a situation where, because you don't have any game, you're going to lead with either your money, or you're going to lead with your clout, you're going to lead with what I could do with you. In other words, you are the baby Weinstein of the manosphere. And if you are teaching men how to become men, how to be the best version of themselves, the rule that you should always let men know, there's no amount of box, there's no high caliber of box for you to risk your livelihood, to put everything that you worked for in jeopardy. That's exactly what Myron Gaines did with these text messages. Then they got into a scandal with Auburn Preach. Now, I won't go too far into it, but pretty much the gist of it is, Auburn Preach critiqued the viewpoints of Fresh and Fit when it comes to paying for sex from professionals as opposed to spending your time hoping that a woman will like you enough to give you sex. And they were saying that sometimes it's better to pay for it because it's convenient, it's not as messy, and it's something that is cut off after the act is done, and they don't have to worry about all the other aftermath and everything else of the events, or of the event that took place, right? So when they put out that video, Auburn Preach, Fresh and Fit responded like emotional women, right? Where they were yelling, we're better than you, we're going to be surpassing you, we're going to have 1 million subscribers, all kind of BS that they were saying. And pretty much it got to the point where Myron, this is usually all Myron because you know Fresh can't speak for shit. So this is mostly Myron saying all these things. Then Myron had a nerve to call out Preach's wife, saying that his wife is obese and not good looking, making comments about him being a monkey, all kind of things that he said that was really degrading, racist, and really uncalled for, right? And it's funny because Myron is a guy who's Muslim from Sudan, from what I understand. I don't think he's black, to be honest, but yet he uses the N-word. And that's a whole nother topic in regards to why we let people outside of the race use the N-word. Why we even use the N-word is another discussion, but why do we let people who are not black use the N-word and we just accept it like it's nothing? He says the N-word more than Fresh CEO, and Fresh CEO is black, right? So that's a whole nother issue on its own, but the whole point of this is that they said things that were completely uncalled for, and they also offered to box Abba and Preach. So when Abba and Preach came back and accepted, then Fresh and Fit comes back and they apologize for everything. I like to apologize. That bullshit, right? And then everybody realized that these guys clearly are not who they say they are.
I'm giving you facts. I'm telling you that if you're involved in sex work, your propensity to be able to lock down a high-value guy of some kind of real consequence in a relationship is going to diminish significantly. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Men are repulsed by women that are in sex work and or overtly promiscuous.
But you also are a high-value man who just said he's dated multiple OnlyFans strippers.
I never referred to myself as a high-value man, but okay.
You don't consider yourself that?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to be cocky, but I have dated multiple women that work in that industry.
I feel like you have the right to answer yes or no to these questions.
Yeah, are you a high-value man?
Are you a high-value man?
That'd be very cocky. Anyway.
Are you a high-value man or not? Yes or no?
Listen,
you know,
ladies.
Do you meet the criteria of a high-value man as per that Samuels man on YouTube?
You guys can assume what you like. The point I'm
Why
trying to
can't
make
you
is
answer it?
I think deflection is very telling.
Okay, well, you guys can assume.
So he's a wannabe high-value man?
There you go, wannabe. So
I don't know. I'm just asking. What about you? Are you a high-value man? Do you make over $100K a year?
I'm a broke boy.
Facts.
I work at Chick-fil-A.
Facts.
I thought that was your past life when you were married, and
we still do. It's Miami. Everybody here counts. Yeah. So anyway, going back to what was your original question again? It was why what was it again?
Clearly, these guys get off on antics at the moment. These guys don't make any critical decisions. These guys don't think critically. These guys don't think of the ramifications of what they're saying, of the messaging that they give off, of the words that they use and what they imply, either implicitly or explicitly. They don't seem to have any wherewithal of the platform that they have, the power that they have, the business model that they put out there for people to consume. Well, maybe they know about that part because they love getting the money off all of these different revenue streams, whether it's the Patreon, whether it's the YouTube streams, all that other good stuff, or selling $2,000 worth of courses to teach men to go into people's DMs and leverage your business to get sex. I don't know, but what I take from all of this is the fact that these guys behave like high school teens.
Small dick energy! Small dick energy! You're insecure! You're insecure! You're insecure! No, 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 no! Bitch!
They don't seem to deal well with having the power and the clout that they have because they are misusing it. They are using it to get things from women that women wouldn't give to them otherwise. And it's weird because women love guys who are successful. Women love guys who have a strong personality. Women love guys who have fame. You don't need to sell the opportunity to get on their show and exchange that for sex. And if this is a girl that won't give you her body, then you don't have to coerce her. You don't have to make her feel like shit for refusing you or refusing that offer. So it's crazy that these things have been allowed. It's crazy that these things have happened. Luckily, people are starting to see who these guys really are. They've lost a whole bunch of subscribers. I think about 40,000 subscribers now. Last time I checked, they're at 389. Right, from being at, I think, 420 at one point, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been losing a lot of subscribers. People have unsubscribed. People are talking about this. People have a lot of things to say about this. This is a real huge fall from grace. Now, apparently, they said that they're going to go on live on Monday and do a question and answer session and clear the air. They have evidence to tell their side of the story. But I'm telling you this right now, with all of the people that have come forward, and a lot of them have the same details in common, and a lot of them that we found out later on have been providing information that is accurate. Like Nina Unrated said that Myron was an FBI agent, which is true, because when his name was doxxed, it came up that he did work for the FBI at some point in time. So when you put 2 and 2 together, you start to realize that, hey, and then the text messages as well too, you start to realize that there is a pattern. And especially when it comes to people who are sexual deviants, people who have no respect for individuals or human beings, men or women, there's patterns of behavior, patterns of disrespect, patterns of lack of empathy, patterns of anger issues. All of the things that we've seen Myron display on his show. All of these things that we've seen Myron exhibit through the text messages. You can't get away from these things. And as we've been seeing with Brother Polite and how the House of Consciousness and everybody in that community enabled Polite in some way, form, or fashion, the Red Pill community, have they enabled these guys to do what they're doing? To think that they're taking this in the right direction? To be a leading example for other impressionable young men? So I'm glad to see people calling them out within that community, because it's important. You have to regulate your own. You have to be able to call out your own with the exact same passion and fever that you call out women. And I'm starting to see that. So I commend all the people that have come out and said something, who have checked them, whether it's with love or whether it's with hate, it don't matter. The point is, they're being checked. Now, whether or not they've been canceled altogether, or whether or not they'll be able to salvage some type of influence, I don't care about that. I'm just glad that when I saw this, many days prior to all these scandals breaking out, and I saw that something wasn't right about these two, that the thoughts that I had were correct. It made me feel good about where my head is at. My intuition. My understanding of human behavior. My discernment. My moral compass. That's not me bragging. This is me just saying, you know what? I think I'm properly aligned, that I'm able to recognize those things. Being a good judge of character. So I take pride in the fact that I kind of seen that something was off. I also take pride in the fact that I waited to find out how I should say this and communicate this information. And to put out this in a positive manner, in a respectful manner, and also in a responsible manner. To get the proper messaging out. But I would also like to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the situation? Do you believe all these things to be true? Or are you in denial and you pretty much blame women for their downfall? Or is it a situation of hubris, where they thought they were so big, so bad, untouchable, young, dumb, and full of BS that nothing could stop them? And the funny thing is, you know who else felt like that? Harvey Weinstein. Epstein. People drunk with power who would use it to take advantage of other people. Stay away from those people. Watch out for those people. Make sure you know how to spot those type of individuals and stay clear from them. So I hope that you understood this message. I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say. Let me know how you feel. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Part of my presence. The rise and the fall of these guys was massive. They came fast. Hopefully they go fast. And we don't hear from these guys again. They are frauds. They are liars. They are fakers. They are abusers. They do not belong in that society, in that community, and they do not need to have that type of platform to influence young and impressionable males, because this is not the type of behavior that we want our men to exhibit and to impose on other women. And that's my take on the whole situation on Fresh and Fit and their podcasts and their scandals. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, may your next move be your best move. Part of my presence. Peace.